When I was at school, everyone knew that all life ultimately depended on the sun for a source of energy. This, of course, started the process of photosynthesis, whereby plants would use the sunlight energy to make their own food. The word gives it away, photosynthesis. Photo meaning to do with light, and synthesis to make. So plants made their own food, and that, of course, started off all the food webs. But actually, life doesn't need sunlight. In 1977, scientists took the submersible Alvin down to the Galapagos Rift in the Pacific Ocean to study hydrothermal vents. Now, they went about 2.5 kilometers down. Down there, it is absolutely dark, pitch dark. Sunlight only reaches at most 1,000 meters down. Most sunlight is actually absorbed by the water in the first 200 meters. This is the Aphotic Zone, where there is sunlight. For the next 800 meters is the Dysphotic Zone. A tiny bit of light, but really not so much. After 1,000 meters down, there's absolutely no light. This is the Aphotic Zone, meaning no light. So it was dark, pitch dark. So anyway, the scientists took Alvin down to study the hydrothermal vents, and they found these seafloor vents gushing, shimmering hot, mineral-rich water into the cold ocean depths. But what they also found was that the vents were brimming with life. They found thriving communities of shrimp, crabs, giant tube worms, slugs, anemones, and fish. The extraordinary and unexpected discovery changed our understanding of life on Earth. Before this discovery, as I mentioned, it was thought that all forms of life ultimately depended on the sun for energy. For all ecosystems then known to exist, plants or photosynthetic microbes constituted the base of the food chain and food webs. Now here was all this life which didn't depend on the sun at all, but instead derived its energy from the Earth itself. The most numerous and spectacular hydrothermal vents are found along the mid-ocean ridges. Water seeps through the cracks in the Earth's crust and becomes superheated from nearby magma to temperatures around 400 degrees Celsius. It also becomes extremely corrosive, capable of dissolving the surrounding basaltic rock and leaching out metals and other elements. The water eventually rises back through the ocean floor, erupting as a geyser from a hydrothermal vent. The dissolved minerals and metals precipitate on contact with the cold water, forming a chimney of sorts around the vent. Black smokers are the most spectacular kind of hydrothermal vent. A steady stream of what really looks like smoke gushes from a chimney-like structure. The smoke consists of tiny metallic sulfide particles that precipitate out of the hot vent fluid as it mixes with the cold seawater. The chimneys are made out of sulfide minerals that precipitate out of the vent fluid and can grow tens of meters high. Instead of sunlight and the process of photosynthesis, life around hydrothermal vents relies on hydrogen sulfide, a gas which is toxic to most land-based life. In a process called chemosynthesis, so using chemicals to make stuff instead of photosynthesis, which uses light to make stuff, specialized bacteria create organic compounds from the hydrogen sulfide present in the mineral-rich water pouring out of the vents. These bacteria form the bottom level of the food chain and all the food webs in these ecosystems, upon which all other vent animals are dependent. Since the discovery of vent ecosystems dependent on hydrogen sulfide, scientists have found similar communities living around what are called cold seeps. Organisms here rely on methane instead of hydrogen sulfide. Cold seeps are shallow areas on the ocean floor where gases, primarily methane, percolate through underlying rock and sediment layers and emerge on the ocean bottom, often in the form of a brine pool. This is a depression in the seafloor filled with water that has a much higher salt concentration than the surrounding water. So there you have it. A quick, very quick introduction to hydrothermal vents and cold seeps, two extreme marine ecosystems where the sun's not needed because the basis of the food webs is chemosynthesis.
Like the video, punch that like button. Want to see more videos? Smash that subscribe.